Hi everyone. So today is my first ever IGTV live. I am the host. My name is Alicia Patel and I'm founder of the Private Island podcast. So I hope you guys have been listening to my first two episodes. Throughout the course of the next few months, I will be interviewing private island owners on how they live and the things that they have to go through, and even better, how a normal person like you and me can buy an island. But today I have Oriana, so I'm just gonna invite her in. Okay. And while she is about to accept it, so I actually met Oriana a couple of years ago. Oh, there she is. Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I was just telling everyone on the live how I actually met you. So I met you a few years ago on Pom Pom Island, East Malaysia. And Oriana was pretty much my inspiration that got me into diving and the education in terms of the coral reef dying and dynamite bombing. So I actually learned so much from her, and it's so nice to keep in touch with her. But anyway, Oriana, she is a marine biologist. She also works with turtle conservation and coral reef restoration. And today we are going to talk about what can private island owners do to tackle certain issues. And the three main points we are going to tackle today is what the problem is and what the solution is for plastic pollution, the marine life, and guest behavior. So Oriana, tell me, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well right now. I'm in Italy. Next week, I will be in Sardinia to work again as marine biologist and diving instructor. And then on October, I will back to Maldives. But let's start with what island owners can do to be more basically eco-friendly. So today I'm gonna talk about three main issues. The first one is plastic pollution. Okay, so what are plastics? Plastics is basically a term to identify a wide range of synthetic or semi-synthetic organic compounds that are so not basically natural, that can be molded into solid objects. So the first synthetic polymer was discovered about 200 years ago with the aim of finding a substitute for the ivory when basically the billiard became very famous. And after that, plastic production has increased a lot. So plastics are basically used for everything and are a really great idea if we consider, because they are lightweight, they are hygienic, they are safe, they are versatile, so we can use plastic for a lot of different things. And plastics are also durable. And that is the big issue, the durability. Why? Because let's see, if we throw a piece of wood in the natural environment, because of the action of environmental and biological factors, that piece of wood will decompose in very small pieces, right? So after a while, we won't see it anymore. If we throw a piece of plastic into the natural environment, it will never decompose. The only things that will happen is that this piece of plastic, let's say this dimension, will start to fragment in very small pieces. So we will start to get macro, meso, and microplastics. So small pieces that will be into the environment basically forever. So the amount of plastic that is produced every year, it's pretty big. It's between 4 and 12 million tons. So if we imagine since 100 years, 12 million tons accumulating, we are having basically a great a very big issue. Another problem with the plastic, it's not only the environmental point of view, but it's also from human health, because it has been demonstrated that some chemicals contained basically in the plastic can affect our hormonal system, and this poses a threat especially for the future generation because of the accumulation of these chemicals into our bodies. Plastic can also kill a lot of different organisms. We're talking about birds, we're talking about fishes, we're talking about sea turtles, even land animals. There's been demonstrated that even elephants can accumulate plastic into their body. And most of the deaths are caused because animals get entangled in plastic material or because of, right? So basically, the animal eat the plastic. In some cases, can release. In some others, the plastic can block the digestive tract or can pierce organs, causing basically the death of the animals. So plastic can basically kill directly or indirectly, not only living, like all kind of living organisms. And with this number, it's a little bit discouraging to try to tackle the problem because we find plastic basically everywhere. But actually, if we change a little bit our lifestyle with a little bit more of education and how to reach efforts, we can really make a big difference. So, for example, in Mauritius, if I'm not wrong, there is a chain of resorts. The name is Beachcomber Resorts. They have the target to achieve zero plastic waste by eliminating all the single-use plastic items from their hotel by July of next year. And they are actually currently about, I think, 3 or 4% only. In Maldives, in South Ari Atoll, there are a lot of resorts that also are trying to achieve this zero plastic waste. So you won't find anymore, for example, the Nutella plastic pack for breakfast. They have been exchanged, or they don't have any more plastic straw, but they have other materials. So let's see what any resort, actually, any hotel can do, okay, to reduce the plastic pollution. The first action, and it's also the easiest one, is to get rid of plastic bottle. So instead of giving to our guests plastic bottle, we can give glass bottle. And nowadays, the osmosis water filler are very cheap and works very nicely, so we can use that one. Or as alternative, we can buy the still water bottle with the logo of the resort on. And if we buy that kind of bottles, it's actually pretty cheap. It's more or less about $3 per bottle if you buy in quantity. So the resorts save also a lot of money. Another option is to change all our bathroom amenities. So every day, basically, we have plastic toothbrush, plastic comb, and cotton bud. So if we exchange this plastic material with something else, for example, bamboo combs, bamboo toothbrush, and I don't know, washing bar or refillable dispenser, we remove a lot of plastic from the environment. If we think, for example, in London, more or less, how many hotels we have? 1,500, let's say. And every hotel has between 10 and 1,000 rooms. So we're talking about more or less 750,000 rooms. Okay, each room has toothbrush and comb. So we're talking about every day, every single day, only in London, 1.5 million toothbrush, 1.5 million combs. And we can remove basically all this plastic from the environment with just very cheap alternative. Another way and another suggestion can be to don't use the plastic laundry bag. We can use cotton laundry bags. And again, we can change with tea and coffee local options. So instead of giving that chemical coffee with aluminum and plastic pack, we can give a local coffee that it's even better for the guest. We can also skip, I don't know, refreshing towel. Instead of giving the refreshing towel wrapped into the plastic, we can give a face towel that is washable. And naturally, the famous one, straw. We can exchange straw, plastic straw with metal, bamboo, or paper straw. And another important thing is probably also try to buy more environmental friendly product for the resort, especially in the kitchen. So if we buy vegetables that are not wrapped into the plastic, we reduce cost for our resort, and we become also more conscious from the ecological point of view. So I think if the resort adopt all these small changes, they will not only reduce the plastic waste and decrease the daily expenses, but they will also lead into cleaner and sustainable future that can guarantee at best basically holiday also for the future generations.
We I went to a private island last year, and it was called Thatch Key in Belize. And what they did is they sent a an email to all the guests, probably about 3 to 4 weeks beforehand, and it was almost like writing a pledge. I pledge not to bring sun cream. I pledge not to bring this and that, and they actually explained what, you know, if you bring sort of these items, it's going to damage the environment. And they said that they would provide all of these sort of toiletries, which was really, really good, and it was really informative. And I think maybe if more resorts and private islands actually maybe have an automated email that goes out to all of the customers that are coming to stay, they can say, okay, don't bring sunblock, don't bring this, don't bring that. We will provide you all the toiletries. And on top, it's a good thing for private island owners, because that way they're not spending money on transportation of moving the wastage from the private island to mainland. So they're actually saving money as well, reducing the wastage. So if all private owners could do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and not only, if you also consider that in a lot of different countries, the waste management is not very good yet. So if we consider, I don't know, like Malaysia, you remember, the waste management there, it's a little bit tricky. So even if you want to recycle, you don't know how and you don't know where to bring the material. And it can be a big issue for private owner, and at the end they will end up burning. So you will have to create a space to burn your rubbish. You will have to do in a specific time because the smell is strong and guests will complain. So it's very, very difficult. It's, I think if we just exchange plastic with something that can be reusable, or that you can be like degrading in really, really short period of time, it's much better. And it's actually a gain for the resort. So they don't waste money for a lot of things. It's much cheaper. And other things that sometimes we forget, but it's still important, it's also to organize constantly beach and ocean cleanups. Because in this way, we create a little bit of awareness with our guests, and we also remove the plastic materials, or like the metal, so all the rubbish that it's already there, and it won't go away by itself.
Oriana, when you were working on the private islands, how many did you have to do the beach cleanup once a day, or was it twice a day?
No, we normally had our staff doing beach cleanup every morning and every afternoon, usually with low tide, so it's easy for them to collect all the rubbish. And then once a week, we will do together with the guests, just to show them how much plastic every day we can collect from the beach or from the ocean. So it's not only to clean the area, but it's mostly to make people understand that if we throw a plastic bottle on the beach, we will keep that plastic bottle basically forever. Another things that is pretty important, it's also the ocean cleaning, because naturally in the ocean things works a little bit differently. A lot of plastic is trapped within the coral or consumed by marine life. So in that case, we actually avoid maybe the death of organisms. We avoid the death of a turtle if we remove a plastic bag from the sea.
Great. Okay, so we've covered the problem and some of the solutions for plastic pollution. And our second problem was the marine life.
Yeah, our second problem is related to marine life, and it's basically about all the construction and operations that a resort has daily and how this can affect marine life. So let's say when we why we go holiday on a small, beautiful island, because we want to relax, we want to be away from the crowd, we want to maybe be in contact with the nature. And in case of small island, most of us want also to see marine life, so we can go snorkeling or we can go diving. Now, these islands are it's considered a paradise, but also paradise need maintenance as everything. So one of the biggest issue that we talk about is the problem of the beach erosion. So when we have beach erosion when the wind and the water remove sand constantly from the beach and move it somewhere else in another location. So we have erosion, and this erosion can lead to flooding, to building loss, or to damage. So normally resort to avoid big damages like the loss of a piece of beach, or the damage to, I don't know, like beach villa, or a damage to infinity pool. What they do is normally building a kind of breakwaters that are this big wall in the sea, basically into the ocean, that can be horizontal or perpendicular to the beach. Now, when they do this kind of construction, they normally do not consider the marine life that is around. So they can destroy meters and meters of coral reef. They can make the wall so high that it's impossible for example, sea turtles to come and nest on that area. So there are a lot of problems related to, and there is a big loss of marine life due to this kind of operation. The erosion can normally occur after a physical change. For example, the resort is building a bridge for guest arrival. So the creation of this bridge can change the current completely, and we start to get beach erosion, or it can be natural. So during the time, maybe the island will change the morphology. And to avoid this, we actually have a lot of different methods that are more eco-friendly. For example, if the place is good and we can create a mangrove forest. So the mangroves are very good, actually, way to trap the sand and reduce a lot the beach erosion. Or another way is to create eco walls that are walls made in a specific way that allow actually marine life to grow. Or if we don't want to touch the beach area, we can, for example, create a reef ball. So if we put all the reef ball together, they will have a double effect. So they will reduce a lot the wave strength, so we don't have any more beach erosion, and they create also a substrate for the basically life to grow on. Nowadays, there are a lot of different solutions, but however, it's always better to go and check with a team of professional. So normally we use an engineer team, marine engineer, because they are the one that can predict how the current will change and how this will affect marine life. Marine life is very fragile, especially if we are talking about coral reefs. A little change, for example, an increase in the sedimentation rate or a decrease of visibility of the water can destroy completely ecosystems. So this is pretty important to take in consideration when we operate close to the sea.
And what other solutions could there be? Because I know, you know, when I met you, that was the whole reason why I got inspired into diving, into the coral reef. And, you know, you showed me the corals that you were growing, and it was just so pretty to look at. This is the sort of thing that if there are marine biologists working on these private islands, this is the sort of thing that they can implement and educate the guest on, you know, even just take them down for a dive, show them what to do when you're tying, when you're making a coral. So those sort of things.
Yeah, it depends a lot of what kind of environment we're talking about. When we were in Malaysia, there the reef was completely destroyed by dynamite fishing. So we actually had no coral reef at all. The reef was not healthy. We only got a few coral colonies around, and because the reef was destroyed, so there was no and anything to avoid and to reduce the wave strength, and the island was having as well a beach erosion problem. So what I personally did, I talked to the owner of the island, and I asked him to give me a few years, because I told him, if you give me time, I can rebuild your coral reef, and if the reef is healthy, the island won't be eroded anymore. So through a coral reef dam restoration project, we started to manage as well the beach erosion problem. So I think within maybe 1 or 2 years, they will be able as well to remove that ugly wall that was around the resort in like the I think southwest area. Another way that it's also useful, yeah, you always do outreach and you always create educational programs for the guest if there is specialized staff. So normally it's always better to leave this kind of programs like a coral reef restoration programs and so on to marine biologists or to diving instructors that have been already doing this for years, because otherwise we can actually make things a little bit worse. So in case there is a marine biologist on the island, it's very easy for her to set up a program specific for the guest to explain about coral biology, about coral reproduction, about how to save the coral, the effect of our action. So I don't know, like swimming too close to the reef or using a specific kind of sunscreen and so on the reef, on the coral reef.
Cool. And is there anything, I know there's something else we can add to that. If people are concerned with the marine life, they can actually adopt a coral reef.
Yeah, that's also, it's normally what at least I always try to do is to don't let the resort spend a lot of money for conservation. So marine conservation should be something very important, but should be kind of free of charge for the resort. So they would not have a lot of expenses. So when we work, since we work with the public, it's pretty easy for us to get kind of donation. So if you come with me for a dive or for a coral planting session, you can adopt a coral. So you can plant your own coral, adopt it, and then after that, I can use that money I get for the adoption to improve naturally the project. So the resort is not spending a lot of money to basically save the reef, but he's doing because he is allowing people to stay there, to conduct specific activities, to collaborate with a lot of organizations, because normally when you do this kind of project, you work together with a Reef Check or with the Reef World Foundation or with the WWF. So you have a lot of basically help and collaboration, but often you don't have the financial support, and this can be done through the guests.
Yeah, it definitely can. And I know when we were in when I met you in Malaysia, you spent a lot of time in the turtle conservation, and I learned so much there. So I really want you to just give some facts on what the problem is going on right now with turtles and what you have been doing in terms of the nesting and hatching.
Yeah, actually, the turtle conservation side was, I think, the best experience of my life. Because luckily, Pom Pom Island is basically foraging and nesting site for two different kind of sea turtle. So we have the green turtle, the Chelonia midas, and the hawksbill turtle, the Erythmochelis imbricata. Now, these two turtles are a protected species in Sabah, and green turtle is considered endangered, whereas hawksbill turtle is critically endangered. So they need protection. Theoretically, since 1980, more or less, it's forbidden for anyone to touch a turtle egg or to basically kill a big turtle. But in the reality, there are a lot of small communities that are still eating the turtle egg and poaching also the adult because of the carapace they normally sell and then eat the belly side of the turtle. So my project was in collaboration with the WWF Malaysia and was aimed at saving the turtle eggs. So we started by building a small hatchery, so a place where we can relocate the eggs when the mother turtle come nesting. So when she finished to lay egg, what we do is basically wait for her to go back to the sea and then relocate all the eggs into the hatchery. Wait between 45 and 70 days until the nests start to hatch, and then release all the hatchlings, all the baby turtle into the ocean. And then after that, we started to try to understand why these turtles come on the beach. So we start to make a little bit of more scientific research on. So we start to tag the mother turtle. So basically we will give a code with a metallic tag on the flipper of the turtle, and we will record how many times the same turtle come to Pom Pom to lay eggs, how many eggs she lay, and so on. And then after we moved even a little bit further, and then we start to study the population also of juvenile and subadult. So we started to create a face ID system. Basically, the turtles has a scale pattern that is different for each individual. Okay, it's a little bit like our fingerprint. So if we study the pattern of the scale of the single turtle, we can recognize a specific turtle. So every day I was basically going into the water to take picture of the face of the turtle, and then I was putting them in a software, and I created a database with a kind of ID for each turtle. And with this, you can collect a lot of important information. For example, if a turtle dies, and I know that this turtle, he is normally located in one place, and then I don't see for a while, I can understand why and how she died. So if that place was full of plastic, I can maybe attribute that to the plastic. Or if I see a turtle come to lay egg every year in one specific island, and then I don't see that turtle for 3 or 4 years, maybe something happened to the turtle, or maybe she's just resting for like the next reproductive season. So we can get a lot of important information. And after a while, we started to work together also with the WWF with the different locations. So we created basically a group for all Malaysia area, exchanging the information about turtle location, how many turtles are distributed around the island, and so on, and was very, very important. In 1 year, more or less, we found about 200 turtles living around Pom Pom, so stable there, and we released approximately 7,000 hatchlings. It's not a lot if you consider that more or less only 1 on 1,000 will survive, reach the adult stage and reproduce, but still it's a pretty huge achievement.
That's incredible. And the database that you have, did you build that yourself, or is that what other private island owners could use if they were to open up a turtle conservation?
No, everyone can use it. It's a free program. And actually now people are starting to understand the importance of knowing more about the biology of these animals and the ecology of these animals. So would be the only problem is that the software is public, but the database is not. So, for example, for Pom Pom, I have the database, but I can share my data to somebody else. So, all the private owner of, I don't know, a different, a single place wants to work together, it's possible. They can have a database for Highland and then a general database by using this, with this program. The name is I3S.
I3S. Okay. And this goes on to the last point. And this is a big problem. I saw it myself, is guest behavior. And it really, really wound me up that you can go to a private island or you can go to a resort and they do not educate the guests about the wildlife.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. Okay, normally we are talking about extraordinary and unique geographical location. We're talking about natural paradise with a lot of different biodiversity, and many of the islands, like Pom Pom, are feeding or nesting sites for sea turtles and so on. So in this context, the resort should try to protect the environment on daily basis. So what I always suggest is to create an environmental policy and to educate the guests before and upon arrival. So we have to consider as offense basically a lot of different actions. So offense can be collecting or stepping or cutting or damaging or removing or destroying any corals, whether if it's alive or not. Offense can be collecting marine life. So starfish, crab, hermit crab, sea cucumber, it's offense. Doesn't matter if it's a protected species or not, or disturbing or handling animal life. Offense can be even fishing. In a lot of places, fishing is not allowed because it destroys the environment, or littering. So if we, I get pretty angry actually with this, especially with some communities. We have also to understand that the background of the people. So many of the guests are normally not educated, and they don't know that if you remove a starfish from the water and use it for like 20 selfie, at the end of the starfish will die. Probably they, in some cases, they are not aware. So explaining them is important, but for the one which are aware of what they're doing, they don't really care. And then you need to use the policy, because naturally, if we consider we have, I don't know, maybe 2,000 guests per month. If 2,000 guests per month collect a single star and,
Cut out there.
and I say, if like if we consider we have 2,000 guests per month, and every day these 2,000 guests collect a single starfish, how many starfish we will lose? And naturally, after maybe 1 year, the guests that come and pay the same money won't see anymore that beauty. So even if it's a species, it's not protected, it's not endangered, or it doesn't, it's still a living creature, and we don't have to touch it. On this topic, there is actually, it's pretty easy for the resort to handle this kind of situation when they get help from other associations. For example, with the Green Fins, it's a kind of approach to sustainable tourism activities. They are operating in Caribbean, in the Indian Ocean, and in Southeast Asia as well. And they basically just want to mitigate the impact of tourism sector on marine environment, and naturally improve sustainability. So with the Green Fins, you get the help from a team of people that explain to the resort and to the resort staff what to do, how to educate the guests. They will give also some material, and everything is a little bit more easy if you actually follow them. Moreover, once a year, they will come to assess your resort, your dive center. So they come, they check how much waste you produce, how do you wash, I don't know, for example, your boat, how do you treat your guests, if when you go for a snorkeling trip or for a diving trip, you give also tips on like an eco-friendly behavior, and they will come to assess your resort and they will give you a score. And then you can reduce that score year by year with the help of the team. And in exchange, so more eco-friendly you become, you will get into a kind of list from Green Fins. They will put you on their website, so you will get also a kind of advertising of your resort. Yeah, and it's really nice. They also have a lot of icons and images and posters to explain the right behavior while doing any activity related to the sea in different languages. So when I was in Malaysia, I was using a lot the Green Fins icons for Chinese guests, because I would not speak Chinese. They were not aware or well educated about marine life and environmental issues. So with that one was pretty easy. Naturally, not everyone follow you. Not everyone care about what you say, but there are like a few people that learn something from you, and it's pretty important.
I think another thing what private island owners should do, or resorts should do, is maybe sort of have, I don't know if you know, but some countries, when you get to immigration, you have to sign like a pledge. to, you know, be more sustainable into the country you're going to or where you're going, and, you know, not to use sun cream because that's going to be harmful to the coral reef. So something where these island owners get their guests to sign to say this is what you are agreeing to, or it could be even implementing a fine. But I don't know if people would actually implement such a thing. And I mean, it might be a good thing if one of the guests goes against the island owners' policies. I mean, that fine could go and be donated back into all the programs that these island owners are doing to improve the quality of the marine life and the plastic pollution and things like that. So I guess maybe that's what they could be doing.
Yeah, they could be doing that, surely. Actually, it's a big step. And also, we don't have to forget about education. So education is the first step to actually get what we want done. If I don't know why, you tell me, okay, you don't collect starfish from the ocean. If I don't know why, I will say, yeah, I will sign this paper, but I will still go and do it. It's very important to educate entire community since possibly a young age. So now, luckily, there are a lot of outreach and education programs. So I think the next generations will be more aware, and we can see kids nowadays are much more aware of what is going on around them than 20 or 30 years ago. Naturally, it will take a lot of time, but I personally believe that if the island owner has a positive mindset and it's eco-friendly and all the staff follow what the owner says, then also the guest will do the same. You know, like it's everything, like it's talking about the environment. So if you see that somebody is doing something wrong and you stop it using the right words on the right time, then you will get also a certain kind of tourism. So people that, I don't know, wants to go and collect starfish, if they get a fee for each starfish they collect, they won't go to your island. They will change place. They will try to find another place.
Yeah, it's a lot of information to take in today, but I hope everyone that was watching got a few tips at least on what they could be doing, or even if they are visiting resorts, that they could be providing this feedback to the owners of these places to say, you know what, why don't we just use bamboo straws instead? Why not
Yeah,
send
especially
communication
the
out to
plastic.
guests?
It's easy to do, please do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to come to a close, but I just wanted to know, what are you doing now? You're in Italy. What, after the lockdown, what will you be doing? Where will you be?
I will be starting from, I think, next week
Oh,
in Sardinia. That it's one of the islands. It's a marine protected area, actually, working as a marine biologist and diving instructor just for a while. And then probably on October, I will go back to Maldives to work in my resort, always as a marine biologist.
great,
After
great.
I started to work. I worked just for, I think, like 3 weeks, and then all the world was in lockdown. So I had to stay. I stuck in Maldives for a while, but was absolutely not a bad
I know
way to
we
do
were in the middle of
quarantine.
lockdown, and every time I looked on your Instagram, you were out diving,
Yeah.
sunbathing, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, actually it was not, like a bad time to get stuck somewhere. It was the perfect place. So I actually enjoyed. I did also some coral planting after the resort was closed. The only problem is that with the lockdown, we actually not allowed to dive. because for security issues there are no decompression chamber available around the area, so we can go snorkeling but we cannot go diving. And when we go for coral planting in snorkeling, it's, you remember, it's a little bit more complicated. It requires a lot of effort, and if the current is strong, the weather is not that good, it's not absolutely not easy.
Yeah.
So,
So if anyone would like to, if anyone had any further questions, please get in touch with Oriana. She's more than happy to answer anyone's questions, or,
yeah.
you know, if you're stuck with your own island, she's more than happy to help you. I guess we're all in it together just to make, you know, the marine life a better place and to basically take care of our environment. But
Yeah.
thank you, Oriana, for coming on here.
Thank you
I know
for
it was super
inviting
last
me.
minute, but I really enjoyed today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Well, I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.
Bye.